Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at Autodrom Most. Let's get on going again with the Sunday's program of the fourth or maybe fifth round of the 2023 ESET Cup Series, depending which Slovakia ring you actually choose to count in, because we were racing during the 23 ESET Cup Series last in Austria before this weekend, but of course some of the championships went also to Slovakia right after that in June. But the cars are now ready on the starting grid, ready for the second race of the weekend. CLIOs did not actually take part in that Slovakia ring round. For them, it is still coming up in 2 weeks' time, so this is round 4 of the Renault CLIO Cup. Cars ready on the starting grid, and it is again Martin Kadlecik on pole position, just like yesterday. He was dominant in that race and scored another victory, so great stuff from him. But right behind his back unraveled quite some drama, because we had a first lap, first corner crash between Tomáš Pekař and late braking Nick Stefancic. Michael Hulm was also sent spinning and had to come up with a catchback. He went through the field to score a podium behind winning Martin Kadlecik and on his home track Libor Horák, who's making his comeback here in CLIOs, and he was 10th on the grid yesterday. And he was hoping for a good result, which actually came in turn, and now Libor Horák is starting from the front row to race number 2, courtesy of his great result yesterday. This is the grid for you. Martin Kadlecik on pole, alongside him Libor Horák. Then we have got Michael Hulm and Henrik Seibel on row number 2. Szabolcs Lantos together with Miha Primožič, row number 3. Ondřej Fekete and David Malinkovsky, Andrej Makarovič and Nick Stefancic are completing the top 10. Behind them, Richard Meixner and Tomáš Pekař. And unlike yesterday, there is a gap of a couple of places, because the Mazda MX-5 drivers have been singled out of the Renault CLIO Cup field and moved further back on the grid, so that the two classes are not mixed up on the grid. Still, they might get mixed up during the race, because the Mazdas seem to be pretty quick sometimes, and we did see a nice fight yesterday. Matěj Sighart together with his brother Simon alongside each other on row number 9 technically, and behind them Rudolf Beňo in the third MX-5 Mazda. Cars are now already on the formation lap, 4,212 meters. That is the circuit's length, and we are currently in the middle part of that, the very quick but very tricky right-hander, where you simply just take a dab of brakes, maybe a downshift, and immediately on the throttle. There is a sausage curb on the inside, so you have to be careful about that, but sort of play with it to use it to your advantage. And these are the critical S's snaking through the back straight, or let's say through the back part of the track, which brings us back behind the pit buildings and paddock to then lead us on to the last couple of corners. We did have a couple of crashes yesterday, so we're also missing Adam Konopka, who had already had a pretty heavy crash on Thursday, but the team managed to put the car back together. But yesterday, more bad luck came, and Adam Konopka had a pretty big hit together with Richard Meixner, and that resulted in yet more damage, and team decided to step away. So ARC Bratislava not present here in Most, and they took away with it also the GT3 Lamborghini Huracan, which was then missing in the GT Sprint race, the race that we saw a little bit earlier. Absolute thriller with a photo finish. Let's see if we're about to witness something similarly exciting today in Renault CLIO. Already yesterday's race was quite eventful. Cars getting back on the start and finish straight to the starting grid to commence race number 2. in just a couple of seconds. The green flag in the air, the red lights are on, and away we go with Martin Karlecik from pole position, alongside him Libor Horák. Everybody is safely away from the grid. Let's see what happens in the first chicane this time out. Martin Karlecik pulling out a little bit of a gap already. Horák breaking it from the inside. Szabolcs Lantos outbreaks himself and decides to go straight ahead. What happens then in the chicane? Karlecik leading from Horák. Michael Hulm immediately under pressure from Henrik Seibel. That's Mark 4 and Mark 5 Clios. Tomáš Pekář, he started 12th. He had to switch cars because the one that he was racing yesterday took a pretty big hit and pretty big damage, which was beyond repair for this weekend. Keep on going. David Malinkovsky under attack from Szabolcs Lantos, who lost quite a lot of places. With that off-track excursion in the opening chicane, we've also got already a brother fight in the MX-5 Mazda field. The Sighart brothers already fiercely at it. Martin Karlecik navigates his way through the opening lap, leading comfortably from everybody else now. Libor Horák remaining in second. The track is now completely dry. We had a wet and dry GT sprint earlier on. And we're now about to complete the first lap of the race. There is Nick Stefancic, close with Tomáš Pekář. They went way too close for comfort yesterday, but both of them are back in this race, which is great to see. And now they are going to have another battle of their own. Tomáš Pekář slipstreaming past Nick Stefancic. He already lines up for a move, dives down the inside. Textbook stuff from Tomáš Pekář, and that is now done and dealt with. Tomáš Pekář moves up one place and looks already straight ahead to another competitor. 156.8 is the new fastest lap set by Michael Hulm. There he goes, already putting pressure on Libor Horák in the fight for second. Michael Hulm actually was sort of lucky, unlucky, whichever way you want to look at it, because he was spun in the first corner after a hit together with Tomáš Pekář that sent him spinning and facing the wrong way. So he actually fell all the way down to the last place and had to climb back through the order. So from that point of view, he was unlucky. But if you actually watch that replay once again, maybe, the fact that he was... And Michael Hulm now attacking Libor Horák. So let's get back to the yesterday's story a little later on. Tomáš Pekář also in the attack mode together with Miha Primožič. Close action, but both of them very experienced. They know how to behave on the track and they leave each other room just enough that is needed. Michael Hulm up to second. There is even a chance to win this one for the German driver. Nick Stefancic down on the inside of Primožič as well. And around the final corner they go. Nick Stefancic up by one place. However, Primožič goes slipstreaming behind Stefancic now. He wants to have a look. Stefancic covers him off. He breaks it from the middle part of the track. No changes then in that group. So Stefancic keeps his newly gained position. Michael Hulm was actually sent spinning yesterday in the first corner, but had that not happened, he would have actually continued forward, and that large hit that Tomáš Pekář received from Nick Stefancic would have actually fallen on his car. So he actually escaped a pretty hefty accident yesterday. And in the end, he ended up on the podium anyway, so that was a good day overall for Michael Hulm. And now he is up by 1 place already. Ooh, and is that Kadlecik in trouble? No, that seems like a Mark 5. Is that Kadlecik, seriously? No, Kadlecik is here. I wondered that actually didn't look like the Mark 4 CLIO. That's the Mark 5 car. Somebody is driving really slowly. That must be Andrej Makarovic, who was in the pits already. So Andrej Makarovic being lapped by the entire field. Martin Kadlecik in the meantime setting the fastest lap of the race. Now it is actually Tomáš Pekař with the fastest overall first sector. There he goes, car number 101 behind Henrik Seibel. They are both now ahead of their teammate Szabolcs Lantos. There is Lantos in that predominantly white car. Also prepared by the local team Karpek Racing, based in Mělník. And there's a fight in the first corner. We have a crash in the first corner. CLIO versus Mazda. There it is. So there was a fight, and one of the Mazdas ends up in the gravel. That is one of the Sighart brothers. Not exactly sure which one that is right now. But there was a fight actually. Was Simon Sighart having a fight with Ondřej Fekete. And we're now switching back to the Renault CLIO Cup fight. This is Tomáš Pekař against Henrik Seibel. Sort of master against his apprentice. Henrik Seibel in the hands of the team of Tomáš Pekař. Libor Horák still trying to follow Michael Hulm closely, but the Mark 5 CLIOs are already side by side, and Tomáš Pekař is now through to take the lead in the Mark 5 class. The championship leader snatching first from Henrik Seibel. So he's now through the entire field of the Mark 5 cars. There's only the Mark 4 trio left. Up in front, Kadlecik leading already by quite some margin, but Michael Hulm has just set the overall fastest middle sector. But he's still not that long way away from Libor Horák. Kadlecik extending his lead to over 4 seconds. Horák just under 1 second behind Hulm, and we have got another Mazda off. Is that still the same one? Car number 41, that's Matěj Sighart. So both Sighart brothers running into trouble in the early stages of the race. I believe it was Simon in that contact with Ondřej Fekete that we saw earlier on. But Matěj also having issues of his own as he finds himself in the gravel trap. He did manage to get away with that and leave the scene of the incident. Michael Hulm in second from Libor Horák. And there is Pekař from Seibel and Lantos. Nick Stefancic behind them in the class 4th place. Szabolcs Lantos wants to have some of that for himself, and he's already trying to have a look around Henrik Seibel, the German driver defending, choosing the inside line into the second to last corner. Around the final right-hander they go. The left-hand side rear view mirror already hanging off the car of Szabolcs Lantos. He's already had a hit with someone. Seibel choosing the completely inside line. sticks it to the pit wall. And now back onto the racing line, still ahead of Lantos. Cuts the corner quite a lot. Goes over the bollards there. Oh, heavy fight under braking. Smoke pouring off the front tires of both cars. They were just braking so hard into the right-hander, into the hairpin. Lantos diving down the inside into the second to last corner, and through he goes on Henrik Seibel. That was a beautiful stuff, but now Seibel is trying to line up for a move. They are still side by side down the pit straight, and Seibel is retaking the 5th place from the hands of Lantos. So Seibel back in the lead of this fight. And we are slowly reaching the halfway mark of the race. Kadlecik leading by nearly 5 seconds from Hulm. So Hulm not really finding superior pace to the race leader. On the previous lap, 150.9 from Kadlecik, 151.1 from Hulm, and that was his personal best. The fastest lap still in the hands of Martin Kadlecik, 150.6. That's a big lockup from Tomáš Pekas. How about his pace? He has just set the fastest overall middle sector. Seibel going defensive along the pit straight. Szabolcs Lantos trying to slipstream behind him. This is still very much open for the remainder of the race. Szabolcs Lantos was already once ahead, but didn't really make it stick. And now Nick Stefancic is sort of sneaking from behind and getting closer and closer. 152.6 from Seibel, 52.8 from Lantos, 52.1 from Stefancic. So he is getting closer, and very shortly he'll be part of this fight as well. We have got another battle between a Mazda and a Clio coming into the opening corner right now, but this is also very close. Personal best for Libor Horák, but he was only 0.08 of a second faster than Michael Hulm in front. They are still 1 second away from one another, so we're not really far away. And that means that there is still a potential fight for second in this race. Kadlecik already leading by 5.5 seconds. This is now Lantos really close behind Seibel. They're basically glued to one another, bumper on bumper, and now Lantos is trying to pull aside. Seibel defending really hard, and this does allow Nick Stefancic to close the gap right down. They will be together for the next lap. Onto the backside, onto the start and finish straight. Seibel going wide at the exit, which allows Szabolcs Lantos alongside. Nick Stefancic tries to follow suit and tries to stick his CLIO also somewhere there. Three-way fight now along the pit straight. Wonderful stuff going on. Switch back from Stefancic. Hard on the brakes goes Seibel, but so does Lantos. And Lantos will maybe finally make this stick. No, because he goes wide, touches the gravel, slows right down, loses momentum, and now it's Stefancic down the inside on Lantos. And he steals position from him. So Seibel still somehow managing to hold on to the lead of this group. Fantastic stuff in the Mark 5 class. Tomáš Pekas, meanwhile, closing in on Libor Horák and Michael Hulm. 3.4 between them right now. Just under 9 minutes left in this race. And the fight is raging further on. Nick Stefancic now trying to have a go around the outside on Seibel, which leaves the door open on the inside. Will Szabolcs Lantos stick his car in there? He tries to do that, but Stefancic still trying to stay around the outside of Seibel. What is going to happen now among these three CLIOs? Seibel glued to the inside line. Stefancic having to opt for the outside one. Who is going to be braver under braking? Nick Stefancic might just make this stick, which he does. Now into the left-hander part of the chicane, but he leaves the door open again for Seibel, who goes for a switch back. Side by side they are still remaining. Lantos trying to see if there is a chance for him as well. Are they going to go three abreast? Maybe, just maybe. Stefancic round the outside, does not make it stick, and it's Seibel back in P5 again. Unbelievable stuff, unbelievable defense from Henrik Seibel. He's not been faster than the other two cars, but he's been holding them behind very, very nicely. Creative stuff from Seibel, who has already been passed by both of the cars on occasions, but in each of these situations he somehow managed to sneak back ahead. And he needs to keep doing that for further 7 minutes, and he'll bring home a very, very rewarding 5th place and 2nd in the class. Stefancic trying to have another go into the penultimate corner. Again, alongside each other they come into the right-hander. Stefancic trying to keep the line tight, but Seibel still remaining ahead. Now it's Lantos on the inside, down the inside of Stefancic. That door was closed right away as well. Stefancic slipstreaming again behind Seibel, waiting for him to move to the to left. He has to go around the outside once again, outbrakes himself. There might not be any place left for him, but he at least stays in front of Lantos, but he keeps better momentum for the run out of the corner. And out of the corner he goes. Szabolcs Lantos lining up for another one. Nick Stefancic has already tried that a couple of times round the outside. It just never worked out, but this might just do now for Szabolcs Lantos. He is through. And Seibel immediately falling into the clutches of Stefancic. We do have one of the cars on the grass there, exiting the first chicane. This is now tricky for Lantos because Seibel staying together with him, but you see the left-hand side rear-view mirror on Lantos's car just flapping around, so nothing to be seen for Lantos on the left-hand side. Let's just see if Seibel can make some use of that. We have got yellow flags exiting the chicane. 10-second penalty after the race for causing a collision for car 888, which is Ondřej Fekete. Yeah, as he sort of torpedoed Simon Sighart a little earlier on in his MX-5 Mazda. But this is getting hot again. Lantos in P5 now. Seibel trying to steal it back away from him. They're just staying close to one another. When we've got one of the Mazdas being lapped right now, that was probably Simon Sighart. Lantos going defensive, and yet more room opening for Stefancic. He was not in position to exploit that gap. Onto the start and finish straight we come again, and now the rearview mirror finally comes off the car of Lantos. He can't see Seibel now on that side. He has to be extra careful. Seibel is trying to come through. Side by side they come into the first chicane. And Lantos shutting the door on Seibel. He was still there, and now Stefancic is through. And he just says, I will have both of these positions. Thank you so much. This is mine now. Definitely Szabolcs Lantos hindered by the fact that he was missing the left-hand side rearview mirror. So he could not see the attack attempt. So he just sort of blindly tried to shut the corner with Seibel still in there. And Seibel simply pushed him wide. There was contact between Karpek cars now. Seibel makes a mistake, but he pushes Lantos right on the edge of the track. Lantos had to slow right down to avoid contact. That was not exactly fair play from Seibel. That was a little last minute. And we are actually now coming to the last minute of the race. Oh, and Lantos sticking his car on the inside yet again. Wonderful stuff between Karpek racing cars. Stefancic, he's passed both of them and he's now gone. Better stay away from this fight for himself, but look at that. More cars are now getting into the mix. We have got Richard Meixner appearing behind, and so does Miha Primožič. Back onto the start and finish we go. Kadlecik leading by a million miles already. 8.3 seconds to his advantage. Car number 301 dominating the race again, and he's already on the final lap. Kicking the inside rear wheel up in the air as he's cornering hard. Michael Hulm in second, but Horák is very close. Libor Horák was extremely close across the line. There must be a fight for second. Let's try and see a bit of that. Horák is still behind Hulm, so no change there. Okay, there is Kadlecik, but behind him, the fight is still raging on for the second place overall. And together with the race leader we go. 2 corners left. Only one left. And this is simply going to be another lovely Sunday for Martin Kadlecik. He won both races at Oschersleben. He won both races in Hungary. He won both races in Slovakia. And he's now winning both races in the Czech Republic at his home track in Most. Fight for second still raging on, but this will now be too late for Libor Horák. They swapped places together with Michael Hulm in today's race. Hulm goes one better and ends up second on the road. Libor Horák, second podium from his home weekend, from his comeback home weekend. He was wishing for one and he has got two. Fantastic stuff on return for Libor Horák. Fantastic stuff as well for Michael Hulm. Tomáš Pekař came through the entire Mark V field to score a victory, and there's a crash between teammates. Past the finish line. What are you doing, guys? Oh my goodness me, this was already a very, very crazy race between them. Yes, Lantos missing the left-hand side rearview mirror, but Seibel pushing him towards the wall, and he's now ending up with his wheel broken. This is absolutely unnecessary. Karpek Racing has already taken quite a lot of hits, a lot of damage. They've already had too much work yesterday and or this weekend, and will have to replace quite a lot of parts on their Clios, and absolutely unnecessarily they end up with yet more substantial damage on one of their cars when the two teammates collide when they cross the finish line. Unbelievable stuff. Henrik Seibel stops on the track behind the chicane, but the race is already over. I can't believe what has just happened there. I would actually like to see that again. Maybe in the race highlights we will manage to see that incident once again. But yeah, Lantos was missing the left-hand side rearview mirror, so he couldn't really see Seibel. And they were both fighting it out together as they were crossing the line. Who was actually ahead? Lantos by 0.2 of a second in front of Seibel. And then they ended up touching, and Seibel breaking his front right wheel suspension. So Stefančič, 5th overall, second in the class. Behind him Lantos and Seibel, and completing the top 10 are Richard Meixner, Miha Primožič, David Malinkovsky. Behind them Ondřej Fekete, Matěj Sighart, Rudolf Beňo, Simon Sighart, but already a couple of laps down it seems, and Andrej Makarovič, whom we lost on the opening lap, or after the opening lap of the race. Martin Kadlecik on a roll yet again, another dominant performance, that white Clio winning absolutely everything, and coming out victorious out of today's race as well. Hats off to Martin Kadlecik. This has been a perfect season for him. We were missing Adam Konopka today, but also Jiří Zbožínek. He was part of the collision between Adam Konopka and Richard Meixner yesterday, and he unfortunately got in the mix, crashed into them, damaged his cooler, and as a result his engine overheated, and then it resulted in a large engine damage. So Jiří Zbožínek not really starting today. Roman Roubíček not even taking part in any of the races this weekend at the end of the day. So that's it for the Renault Clio Cup race number 2. Again, very exciting at points, at places even a little too exciting for some. We still have got 2 more races to contest this afternoon. So coming up next is the 3rd race of the Central European Formula 4, and then we are going to close the weekend with the 2nd race of the Renault Twingo. So we'll be back with that very soon.